No introductions. Let's just dive right into the script. I won't even fix my hair. I don't have any. Go.
All right, we are on. Welcome
Hi, Scarlett.
to Holistic. Okay. Welcome back to Holistic Health Space podcast. I am your host, Scarlett. Today's special guest is David Peterson, and he doesn't want any introduction, so we'll just jump right in. As I understand, you want to start with your support of Bobby Kennedy in 2024.
Yeah, it makes sense to me because that's where you and I met, right? So, and that's what matters to your audience. So I want to talk to, it's not just about you and me, but it's about them as well. And so what can we all do, not just you and I, but your audience do to support Bobby and support this new movement, a migration away from poison food? And it's very, very new for a lot of people. I know that it's been close to your heart for some time, but I really feel that the more people I'm talking to, it's like, yeah, what is that? So canola oil is not really from Canada or something, and it's bad for you? And yeah, okay, I try and eliminate sugar, but people don't feel like they're as close to it as the movement, and the media is definitely pushing in another direction.
What drew you to Bobby Kennedy?
Oh, they sent a number of requests to us for our services, not Bobby himself, but people on the team that saw that they needed to fix a lot of things that weren't working right. And our advice was get out quick because the DNC cheaters are just going to stab you in the back the same as they did Bernie Sanders twice, right? So it took a while for the campaign to come around that, but they ultimately realized that it was a go nowhere option to try and run for president without the DNC's prior approval. They choose who the candidate is. They like to run the candidate all the way to the end with a win. If they lose, they cheat as much as they can, but that's just the nature of it.
So I'm curious, what do you think is the reason that they DNC bought off your original candidate? What's his name again? Bernie Sanders. He got bought off. Why did DNC not try to buy off Bobby Kennedy?
I think they beat Bernie twice before they were able to buy him off. And then I think that he was significantly overwhelmed by the response to the orchestration of the October 7th attack and the complicity there, and then the overwhelming immediate efforts to commit genocide. I think he's very familiar with everything related to U.S. support of Israel, and he was very devastated by that. So he took a serious time out towards the end of 2023 and the beginning half of 2024. It was a challenging time for him in a big way. So everything else after that, capitulation and just going hook, line, and sinker for everything that the corrupt DNC pushes for. I don't know. Maybe they have some solid dirt on them. I don't know. But back to Bobby.
Okay, back to Bobby. What else would you like to tell me about, why you supported Bobby? What?
Well, you were going to ask me about the advice that I might be inclined to take from him.
Are you taking his advice, medical advice, especially? Because everybody claims that he's not a doctor. He's not supposed to lead HHS.
Exactly. He's the one that says that. He says it right away. He says, don't take my advice. I'm not a doctor. And my response to Bobby is, it's too late. So I've already taken his advice and I have reversed my diabetes. It's one of those things that comes on and you've got symptoms and the doctor says you're pre-diabetic and next thing you know, you're diabetic. And I've always tried to eat Well, when I was eating sugar, I knew I was eating sugar. I just completely changed everything up and listened to Bobby, and all these foods that everybody's been saying are bad for decades turn out to be good. I mean, everybody said, oh yeah, eat healthy and live healthy. And then they're advocating for these products that are not quite food. There's just so many poisons in them, and they don't kill you instantly. It just takes a long time. And I feel completely different than I used to.
So reading your social media, I understand that you were the first 2024 candidate for House or Senate to support Bobby Kennedy.
Yes. So that was a huge effort. Came out in support of Bobby, and we actually interviewed just about everybody in line at the Los Angeles Comedy Show. It was fantastic. Had a good crew there. Everybody's anxious, waiting in line, looking forward to this comedy show. And the campaign was to get people to think along the same lines. They had a challenger, they had an incumbent. Their incumbent was either supporting Trump or Biden, mostly Biden in California. And if they thought about it, the challenger would likely welcome the opportunity to partner with Bobby and join and have two presidential candidates on their team challenging against the incumbent who's likely only got one on their team, right? So the idea caught on, and it spread, and next thing you know, Bobby and Trump are combined in their campaign. So huge success overall. Definitely not the way we expected it. If you look at candidates who run, even you running for president, you're still gathering a lot of support from people in the House, people in the Senate, and that's something that we need to do in our movement, in our MAHA movement, in our RFK Jr. movement, is work more together and bring our efforts together cohesively and just complement each other.
Yeah, that was really important. Was really remarkable. I don't think there's a lot of people in the House or Senate race who were willing just to throw their support behind him, because he's viewed as a crazy person.
He's not. That's just slander. That's just something they spin up in the back room.
That's how he's portrayed in the media, even now.
And so if you say media, make sure you always say corrupt media. Let's see if I can point to this one back here. Can you see this sign way back here? No matter how much you hate the media, you don't hate them enough.
Okay, I'll try to hate harder then. So talk about how you came to write Canvas.
I was really excited to see that. That was fantastic. May of 2024, you went and hosted a canvas, and you were way out in front of the campaign. At that point, I felt the campaign was significantly behind and had not done that type of on the ground outreach and measurement of success, right? So, you're broadcasting messages left and right. Bobby was getting on podcasts over and over again, but getting down to the audience and finding out what they've heard and what they've seen, and if they can get around some of that, not just censorship, not just blockade, but truly defamation and slander that they were throwing at Bobby on a continuous basis. And people were able to get around it. But then it really hurt. I felt that we didn't have the comprehensive voter history. So we're, talking to strangers and we don't know anything about them. And that was pretty incomplete. So I reached out to the campaign on that. I tried to get them to come up to speed. But they had so many battles to fight. I mean, it was just ridiculous. The frivolous lawsuits, the DNC cheaters were just searching for a corrupt judge to throw the book at Bobby and come up with some ridiculous reason for tossing him out. So it hurt, but I was really impressed. And the big question that we all have is, who put that guy with the combat boots in charge of your canvas? And that's a Kennedy canvas with a K in front of the Kennedy and K in front of the canvas. And that's actually starting up now. There's canvassing going on in Northern California now, because we don't have the alignment that we need between ourselves in support of Kennedy and moving into the 2026 midterms. And so I'm looking forward to it. I've postponed sending some of those things to you, some of those invites, because I wanted to focus on this between you and I. But now that we finish up this, once we finish up this conversation, I'll be sending you a lot more invites on some of those activities that have been going on. And obviously, you're not going to be able to have the bandwidth to do participate in many of them.
Things on my plate. Yeah.
Well, we're going to bring one to your neighborhood. So when we come to your neighborhood, you'll answer the door and you'll be on the other receiving end of Kennedy Canvas, right?
We'll see. We'll see.
So yeah, I want to flash forward to the current. We're still helping Bobby. We're helping him more than ever. The HHS policy changes. They're getting bashed by the DNC cheaters and the corrupt media daily. I mean, they're hosting Tesla store fire bombings against Bobby every day. So they invest a lot. I mean, they go scorched earth against everybody, even little teeny tiny candidates that there's no way they can win. They go scorched earth against them to just devastate them and get them to give up and go away. And it's worked. It has worked very, very well for some time. Truth be told, if you guys are out there listening, one of the main reasons that the DNC cheaters absolutely hate us common people is because we stole away from them the Democratic nomination in 2008. We the people, the peasants on the street, we hosted the very, very, very first debate in April of 2007. And we all were, scrutinizing every one of the candidates, and we pushed forward the candidate that was way better than Hillary, and we won. And they will never forgive us, and they will fight back forever, and they just don't want people anymore. The DNC cheaters are against us, and they won't give up until all the people are gone. That's why they partner with guys like Bill Gates, right? He wants to depopulate us. So we need to double our efforts to bring the 2026 midterm new challenging candidates on board to this movement, and that's a huge challenge for us.
Okay, so that's a perfect segue to your amazing organization, Independent Democrats.
That's us.
And you mentor anti-corruption challengers. You support anti-corruption challengers. You promote anti-corruption challengers. And you have actually ousted more corrupt incumbents than any other organization in history. Wow. And you beat the DNC cheaters when you do that. You beat the GOP as well. Okay, wow. You want to talk more about that?
I'm glad to hear you say it. And I'm glad to hear you say wow. And I'm glad to hear you think about what those words actually mean. It's knock down, drag out. They spend literally hundreds of millions of dollars against us, and we're tiny. But they don't want us to succeed at all. They want to maintain the status quo. They protect their corrupt incumbents, and that's where they end up spending most of their money. So they don't even have the opportunity to do any of this red versus blue challenges because they're so busy. The DNC cheaters are so busy shutting down progressives, the DSA folks. I mean, look what they put up against Mondani in New York City, and that's just for mayor, right? So, I mean, that was literally their entire media conglomerate enterprise trying to fight against him. And we need to coalesce and amongst ourselves and continue to battle the corruption. And, they've got huge backers. We're never going to beat that. The pharmaceutical money is astronomical. The predatory health insurance companies have just money to burn. To them, a marketing budget is nothing. It can blow away a campaign for office easy. They've still got Wall Street fraudsters. They've got weapons oligarchs, war profiteers. So we're up against a lot, but when we the people think about it, we really just need to organize our efforts at the ballot box and just try and learn to stop our own selves from casting ballots for corrupt incumbents. Just stop doing it. And it happens, and we get wins here and there, but it is a process. It's a learning process for people.
Okay, so tell me, how does politics relate to my channel, my audience who's all, want to eat healthy and stay away from the Rockefeller medical system? And you're talking about politics to someone who doesn't know anything about politics.
Well, I think everyone who has struggled with Bobby in migrating to healthy eating and healthy living has absolutely faced opposition from media pushback, faced opposition from the federal government, from the state government. Um, Thomas Massey's out there fighting like crazy for small organic farmers to be able to sell their products to their neighbors, and they can't.
How is his bill for that constitutional amendment going? Is it likely to succeed?
I think it's a mistake for us to make predictions on whether something's going to live or die and then just give up and walk
I think
away.
have a crystal
I think
ball.
I think between you and I, whether you're for healthy eating, healthy living, to just disregard things as politics and useless, we're missing the opportunity to become active, to activate ourselves, and to participate in, expanding this movement behind Bobby. So for me, I'm supporting many, many clients with many, many movements, and I don't want the MAHA movement, the RFK Jr. movement, to lose itself in despair over, oh, that's politics and stuff, because it matters. And there's people within the MAHA movement that have shied away from taking leadership roles that Bobby has, but that's a mistake. People in the MAHA movement should step forward and throw their hat in the ring and run for office. Read the inspirations that come from Run for Something. Follow up on the success of the Women's March in 2017. That was a very, very successful grassroots movement that partnered with Run for Something. And all of the women in the Women's March listened to that, and many of them did step forward. It's one of the biggest, 2018 is one of the biggest years we've had in my lifetime, where a whole bunch of new candidates came forward to challenge the status quo and the corrupt incumbents, and the majority of them were women. And those of us who were working in beating the corrupt incumbents for decades prior, we embraced it. We said, yes, come on board. We looked for every opportunity to support all of them. That's where we got AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley. They all won in 2018. And so did Abigail Spanberger, who's just gone for the governor's seat, and Mickey Sherrill in New Jersey. So a whole bunch of people ran and a whole bunch of people won. Right here in our state of California, we've got Audrey Denny. But where she had the support there because the DNC had nothing else to do to compete against her, with this Prop 50 reorganization, they're now kicking her to the curb, and they're bringing in a corrupt incumbent from the state legislature, somebody who's already addicted to the campaign donations and the bribes from pharmaceuticals, already addicted to the predatory health insurance agency. He's already got a long track record of refusing to do the bare minimum to advance CalCare, which is Medicare for all at the state level, and they get away with it because they give it a little lip service and they walk away and people clap and cheer, and they feel like they watched a good movie. That's not what it is. People need to start treating politicians like a plumber. And when you send him into the bathroom to do a job, you expect him to do it right and clean everything up. And the fact that, he comes out with a smile on his face and said it's all rosy and everything, you go in there and the place is a complete mess. That's what people are doing today. We should not be treating any elected officials like some movie stars asking for autographs. We need to start treating them as employees who work for us, and we need to give
I'm
them
with
instructions
you. Yeah.
on what to do. You see parents in the neighborhood, they don't send their kids to Washington, D.C. for the big grand tour and field trip without a whole bunch of guidelines and rules. Well, parents need to take the same approach to the people that they send to represent us in Washington, D.C. So I really appreciate the way you asked that question. And I hope I'm coming back with tons of enthusiasm. And I want to support you and everybody in the MAHA movement as clients. Whatever you guys are thinking about avoiding, not getting involved, sitting back as a spectator, waiting until your ballot comes to you in June before you take action, that's the wrong approach. Because right now, there's a whole bunch of novice newbies that are coming out and, damn it, I'm going to challenge the status quo. I've been successful in my career. I'm going to take the time. I'm going to fight back. But they don't know every issue. And that's where the MAHA movement can come forward and do a great job of training them up, right? And just say, hey, listen, keep it simple so that you don't scare people away and poison out of food, right? It's really simple. Why would you want to leave the poison in the food? Well, hey, it's economical, right? You get paid by those toxic waste companies. Yeah, you can throw these products in. You not only do you not pay for these ingredients in your products, but you get paid to dispose of them in your products. And so it's a win-win all the way around. They love it. You know, they're old executives that come from the tobacco industry, and their entire purpose was to kill their customers slowly, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. And I really, really love the way that you liked politicians to plumbers, which is what they should be, instead of glorified leeches. That's the way they are right now. Yeah, I want you to tell me more about what your next plans are, what your upcoming activities for your organization.
Yeah. So if we think about getting rid of our, corrupt U.S. reps in the 2026 midterms, it would be a great thing all the way around for Bobby and the federal policy improvements that he's made. It seems easy to us as we watch Bobby go into the administration and just change a rule here, change a rule there, and it happens. What a lot of people don't understand is that whole balance of power thing gives the corrupt people a chance to fire back, and they are. And they're lining up a ton of battles against Bobby. They're lining up candidates that, if they don't have to say anything against Bobby to get reelected or to take a new seat, then that's fine. But their plan is to come out again with the hearings and the slander and the defamation, all these false accusations against everything that he's done. And then if they get a majority in the House or the Senate, they'll start tossing legislation out that undoes all of the policy changes that he's brought around. And we don't want less. We don't want to undo what he's done. What we need to do is we want more. And this is the opportunity right now. Everyone in your audience should be reaching out to me, making contact, and saying, how can I help with one guy, one brand new guy who's challenging the corrupt incumbents? And I want to support him. I want to help get him elected, or at least, bring that challenge to the debate. So at least the corrupt incumbent has to say out loud to all of his constituents, no, I don't support that, getting poisons out of food. We want them to lose votes for saying stupid stuff like that. And this is our opportunity. The primaries are right now. So anybody who thinks, oh, well, I'm going to wait, it's now. There's all kinds of activity going on. So for us, we're actually going to the universities. We are meeting with students who are very anxious about becoming voters for their first time. If you're born in 2008, 7, 6, 5, you're in college, you're just now voting in your, first election. You don't get a presidential election, you only get a midterm election. It's not as exciting. And you're inheriting this lousy government from the baby boomers. Finally, the baby boomers are checking out. They're really losing it in terms of social media, trying to keep up with what's current. They're completely addicted to the cable news media. They're huge minions, just following along, lemmings, following along blindly for whatever Rachel Maddow tells them to do. And one of those things is throwing Molotov cocktails at Bobby and HHS policy. I've missed Bobby illustrating to us his efforts to heal the divide and get around that. I'd love to see some of those workshops. But in my own workshops, I invite anybody, if you really want to see how the sausage is made, battling head to head against these people who are, just dedicated, just whatever they're told by the media to repeat, they just burst it out left and, oh, I'm an expert on this. And it's really ridiculous how bad it is. But they are still in the majority, right? So they dominate California in a huge way. They follow along with this propaganda in a huge way. And we have a big, big battle in front of us. So come with us, come to the universities, watch what we do at the university, help us guide students into campaign jobs with the best campaigns in California. And what's great about kids today is they've got skills that nobody else that's volunteering on the campaign has. They can send something out, they can send a meme out, and it'll go viral in a short order. And none of us have those skills. We don't have the following. We've been shadow banned on all the social media. They've taken us out, but people have not just their native networks, but then anything they do professionally, and they have the ability to separate them. So none of those capabilities that we have, plus technical skills. These folks, yes, when they were toddlers, they would pick up their parents' cell phones. And by the time they were in kindergarten and first grade, they were getting the hand-me-down cell phones. They were carrying them back and forth to school, calling home and saying, hey, I missed my ride, but I'm coming home anyway, right? So
I know.
They're
my
way
daughter
ahead of
has
us.
more subscribers on YouTube than I do, like a lot more. Not by a small measure.
Are you able to
running out of
successfully interact with them?
Who? My daughter?
Your audience on social media.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of cutting edge on that. I've never seen another. I recommend it to all of our clients, anybody who's running for House or Senate office. Interact with people on social media. Get in there. Let them beat you up. Take a few ridiculous adjectives tossed against you and just break down the core arguments and get them to focus on your proposals. Nobody's willing to do it. And the DNC cheaters guide all of the consultants to move all of your candidates away from talking to people. Make sure every message is scrubbed by us. Don't get them talking to people and get any wild ideas about doing policy different than we approve of. And that's one way that they defeat us. That's one way they defeat the Democratic Socialists, the Progressives, anybody, or the Green Party, anybody who's trying to come up with a grassroots effort. They have all the consultants nationwide working against them. And not one single person that's running for Democrat as a Democrat for office understands that the DNC cheaters are working against them. They just don't get it. They just, even if they're the only one in the race up against just an incumbent GOP Congress member, the DNC cheaters are still taking notes and working against them. They don't want you. The regenerative farming issue that came up from Audrey Denny in California's 1st District, they shot that one down so fast as if it started to spread to other areas and other candidates. And that's what was one of the key platforms of Bobby's campaign. It's like, stop dumping all this glyphosate and all these other chemicals, herbicides, pesticides on the crops. Just dump the leaves from trees on the ground, and nature does what it's supposed to do. Bobby's way ahead on these things, but it gets lost in the weeds. And if it goes down 1, 2, 3 people through the post office in our network, they lose it. They lose track of, well, what are we supposed to do and how are we supposed to make that happen? So I'm hoping that some of your followers reach out to me on the college events.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I appreciate all the input, all the insights that you provided today. We're running out of time, so I want you.
So I have one more question for you. Will you challenge a congressional seat in 2026?
If necessary. Ideally, we need a candidate that can hit the crooked incumbent hard on all issues. And from you guys' perspective, getting the poison out of our food is an extremely easy issue. But each candidate, they have a hard time reaching out to Bobby's audience and finding the MAHA movement and RFK Jr. because we haven't really done a good an opportunity to bring those folks together. So RFK Jr. supporters have kind of gone different directions. So I know, do you know Becca and Laura out there with the We the People movement?
Yes.
The website and stuff like that. Have you met them in person?
Yes.
So I haven't. And so I need to get to, they said I should go through you before I talk to them further. And they kind of want to go in that direction and train up a few people and bring them up and make them MAHA ready. But I don't really see that they've, followed through and set out the template so that many candidates can follow along those lines. Because, even if a candidate doesn't meet with their approval, if they come halfway up and meet 3/4 of their criteria, that would be a good thing. We want them to do that. So that's one thing that we can learn from the Bernie Sanders movement is the people that spun off of his movement, they worked together. They did different things, but they communicated with each other. They worked together. They shared their successes. And that's how we improve the strength of our movement in a broad sense across the spectrum and through down many different alleys as we go forward. Thank you so much for having me, Scarlett.
Thank you for coming on.
I hope that you'll get back to me and follow up on all the things that we haven't chatted about.
Okay. Lovely seeing you today.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
nice
much.
day.
Thank you, Scarlett.
Bye.
Bye now.